holds an egg in their soul. The egg of our hearts.
Oof, I hope it's not that one egg from that drug PSA.
This is what your body goes through. This is what your family goes through. And your friends and mine!
But yeah, that's right, we're finally talking about Shugo. Originally starting off as a manga by the mangaka duo known as Peach Pit, who are probably best known for writing Prime Minister Taro Aso's Oshi Rosing Maiden. It ran the pages of Nakayoshi Monthly Magazine, starting in October of 2007, where it managed to achieve some almost immediate success, with it even winning Kodansha's 2008 Best Children's Manga Award. Here in the States, it pretty much sit comfortably in the 4th best-selling shoujo manga in 2009, and from my personal circles, it became a little more popular than even some of the forerunners of the magical girl genre, like Sailor Moon and Cardcaptor Sakura. Its popularity let it have a pretty lengthy run, until 2010, when something that year might have tanked its popularity, leading to its abrupt ending, until recently with returning in 2024 with Jewel Joker. We might eventually cover that, and I'm not exactly looking forward to it, but until then though, let's just start from the beginning with the first season of its anime adaptation. Our series opened, like honestly a lot of magical girl anime, with some bullies picking on someone smaller than them. In this case, it was your typical lunch money shakedown, but they were interrupted by a requisite lead girl of the show. And hey, you want to see a good example of how to leave a strong first impression with both your lead and the anime? Yeah, do something like that. But yeah, this is actually a great way of establishing the general tone of this series. Silly yet cute as hell, with the bullies only running away based off of some very over-the-top rumors, whilst Amu Hinamori here confirmed that they weren't true in the slightest. It also acted as a strong character establishing moment for her, as while not outright stated, I think it was heavily implied that Amu purposely went down this alleyway to help the kid. Though as we later see, she likely did this with no real plan, or they may be hoping her aura farming alone would be enough. Speaking of which, everyone took to referring to her by a very unique moniker.
Kuru and Spice!
So is she like one of those patches you put on your back? Well, actually, according to Amu herself, that wasn't exactly the case, which, yeah, was pretty obvious apart from the absurdity of what the bully said. Hell, the opening pretty much spelled it out clear as day, as it was one of those that were straight up made for this show in particular. As such, we won't discuss Egg of My Heart by Buono, as it just summarizes everything we're about to go over anyway. I will say, it's a pretty catchy tune, though far from my favorite of this series, which is a ways away. Later, while having dinner with her family, Amu watched some crazy fortune-teller lady talk about guardian spirits, which seemed to off-put her, which, fair enough, I mean, just look at this crazy psychic Karen lady with her fish lips. However, the real horror turned out to be her parents. Great, you're one of the many fathers in Japan who somehow made this one of their most successful seasons, though I'm also one to talk. But yeah, after secretly freaking out in her room over the creepy occult lady, Amu revealed that in fact a lot of her cool and spicy persona was more of an incidental result of her being a bit of an introvert, and her fashion designer's mom's tendency to dress her daughter up in some gothic punk when in actuality she did want to dress up a little cutesier. However, like most of us when we were kids, once you get pigeonholed into a certain archetype, it's hard to break free from it, especially when everyone has a certain perception of you. This left Amu with a bit of an identity crisis. I mean, I would argue that Amu is kind of the cool and spicy type, as that was the person who ended up saving that kid, but at the same time, yeah, our whole personalities aren't just one archetype. This is all a great setup for Amu to explore a little bit more about herself. And how would she go about it?
I have several questions.
But yeah, as freaking bizarre as all this was, Amu did feel a strange attachment to her plaid cashmere eggs, and thus decided to take them with her to school. On her way to her classes, she witnessed one of the most prolific tropes in any anime involving schools, the omnipotent school council, referred to as the guardians at this school. In this day and age, that is an impossible task, even for the most powerful seitokai. But yeah, along with their normal console positions, they were also given titles based on the suits that make up a royal flush, except for the 10 because, I don't know, maybe they just didn't like that one chick from Batman Beyond. Regardless, she ended up attracting the attention of the king and president of the console, Tadase, through her eggs.
用もないのに気安く触らないでくれる?
That's hilarious, coming from a character with a VA who's actually shorter than the grade schooler she plays. Like, seriously, I've got to cons with Kanaito, and she's a tiny woman. But yeah, obviously, Amu had the hots for the pre-boy, but her cool and spicy persona shoved him away. Things especially got awkward when the Guardians hosted a school assembly. Amu wanted to apologize to Tase ASAP, but of course it would just be kind of awkward to do it in such a public space and...
That was cringe.
Also, considering a layer pop point that we'll get to in just a couple episodes, this bit was a little weird in hindsight, but we'll address that when it comes. For now, not only did she come off as a total goober, but Tadase ended up rejecting her right in front of the entire student body. Yeah, Amu, do you want me to cut out the eye holes for you, or do you just want to do it yourself? Actually, and very understandably, Amu just ran out of the hall. As a result, she somehow ran all the way to an unblocked construction site and an open hole. I would ask why there was nothing here to at least keep it a little bit secure, but if Johnny Somali could easily sneak in, I guess this little grade schooler could do it accidentally. Anyway, after a Looney Tunes gag, Amu found herself trapped in the hole with no one to help her, except for one of her eggs, which was starting to sound like blonde before she became a violent schizo. But yeah, this little fairy named Ron basically represented the part of Amu that wanted to be confident and extroverted. She also represented Amu's more sporty side. So she's able to help her get out of the literal hole that she had found herself in through a little something called a Chara change. Rip off! But yeah, thanks to her, Amu managed to jump out safely from the bottom of the hole to the top of the scaffoldings. Yeah, that's not jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, that's jumping right into the freaking sun. To make matters worse, a mysterious guy who had stolen something from their school showed up.
お前キャラ持ちか。
また変なのが。っていうかなんで猫耳?
Yeah, shouldn't you be like a rabbit or Optimus Prime? But yeah, this guy was named Ikuto, and he also had a fairy partner named Yoru, who of course was voiced by Miyuki Sawashiro because Catboy or girl, her voice could just be used for either gender really. Also, let's see, an older dude with animalistic traits appeared in front of the obvious magical girl protagonist. I wonder what this will result in.
お前アムっていうのか。
Yes, I get that you're still busy with the hamster and God, but can't you make a little time? Actually, he ended up going for the other two eggs, so there was nothing problematic going on for now. Still, he was basically stealing parts of Amu that she had yet to fully embrace, and thus she pretty much had to save them. With that, she ran along the scaffolds to save them, leading to some predictable results. Fortunately, she not only had access to Ron's Chara change again, but the thing Ito stole, the Humpty Lock, reacted with her, and basically became her transformation trinket. They didn't show the sequence, likely for dramatic effect and to save it for the next episode, but basically, Amu performed the fusion dance with Ron to take on a superhuman form that was known as a Karanari. Well, to her credit, she is doing better than most Precure leads. Never mind. Fortunately, Tadase had his own Chara change that let him save her through the power of pumpkins. What? Afterwards, he and Ikuto revealed that they knew each other and were after the same thing.
お前たちにエンブリオは渡さないぞ。エンブリオ?
Believe me, no one should ever want to get close to this POS. With that, Ikuto made his escape, and the episode ended with Tase heading back to the school, and Amu, very understandably, calling things a day. We then got the ending theme called My True Self, which was also sung by Buono, and I will say, this is my absolute favorite ending theme, and probably my favorite song overall from this whole series. Like, I swear, there are just some parts where they just yell out some of the lyrics, which I think works great with the idea that it's supposed to be exposing one's true self. This was a really good first episode that, appropriately enough, was all about the characters. Obviously, Amu was the major standout, but even some of the side characters left some strong impressions for their brief screen time, for better and for worse. Sure, I would have appreciated a little more world building along with the characterization, but considering what's written on the tin, I can't complain too much. If you want people to get hooked on your show, often one of the most effective methods is just giving your lead as much of an engaging character as possible. In this show's case, Amu easily catapults over that bar. Like, not only is everyone's reactions to her aura farming hilarious, but she also has a pretty great personality. She's very relatable as a teen who's trying to hide her true self, and even her fake persona is legit pretty cool, and hey, at least she's just trying to stay chill. The problem of course then arises that her little fairy friend doesn't know the meaning of that word. This then leads into the most fun, but also kind of nitpicky part of the show for me. Yes, Ron carrot-chasing her was hilarious, and they did have a gripping first action scene for the series, but yeah, they also did unload a lot of stuff in this first episode without much actual lore or world building. Now, of course, as someone who's watched the series, it's not too big a deal, but yeah, looking at it more objectively, it would be kind of confusing for some first-time viewers. But again, a bit of a nitpick, and I think most people would already be hooked by Amu and learn more about the other characters for the most part, as overall, this is a really fun and charming first episode for a new IP for anyone who didn't read the original manga. This is a series that you can enjoy if you have like maybe multiple characters to yourself, though you should also probably get that checked out because you also might be schizo. Thanks for watching, and if you're at all interested in these new series, please let us know in the comments. We're gonna be adding this and also some brand new series starting next month to our review schedule, so hopefully you'll enjoy them. Look forward to it. Until then though, farewell for now my friends, and I wonder how thin the air gets up there.